Let me ask you something. Have you ever had a moment where you checked your bank balance, saw a number that was honestly not bad, and felt a weird kind of relief wash over you? Not excitement, not motivation, just relief. Okay, I'm fine. I'm not broke. And then you closed the app, put the phone down, and went back to whatever you were doing. If that sounds familiar, I need you to stop right there. Because what just happened in that moment? That quiet little feeling of, I'm fine. That might be the single most expensive thought you ever have. Not because you're bad with money, not because you're irresponsible, but because of a deeply invisible habit that lives inside that one sentence. A habit that most finance channels, most money gurus, and most personal finance books completely ignore. It doesn't involve overspending. It doesn't involve debt. It doesn't involve bad investments. In fact, on the surface, it looks completely harmless. It looks like you're being responsible, but quietly, slowly, year after year, it is draining the wealth you could have built. And the scariest part? You probably don't even know you're doing it. Today, we're talking about the most dangerous money habit no one talks about. And by the end of this video, I promise, the way you think about money will never quite be the same. Okay, so let's talk about what this habit actually is. But first, let me paint you a picture. Meet Zara. Zara is 28. She has a stable job. She earns a decent salary. She's not someone who blows money on designer clothes or eats out every single day. She pays her bills on time. She has a small emergency fund sitting in her savings account. She's not in credit card debt. By most standards, Zara is responsible with money. But here's the thing. Zara is 28 years old, and she has almost nothing invested. No stocks, no index funds, no retirement account, no passive income of any kind. And when you ask Zara why, she says something very interesting. She says, I just haven't gotten around to it yet. Things are fine for now. I'll start when I'm more settled. Now here's what I want you to notice. Zara is not saying she's scared of investing. She's not saying she doesn't have money. She's not even saying she doesn't want to build wealth. She's saying, asterisk, things are fine. Asterisk, and that's it. That's the habit. Not recklessness. Not ignorance. Not laziness. It's comfort. Specifically, the dangerous, silent, insidious comfort of financial okayness. There's even a name for this in psychology. Researchers call it the good enough trap, and it is one of the most powerful forces that keeps ordinary people from ever crossing over into real financial security. Let me explain how this works in the brain, because once you understand the psychology, everything clicks. Human beings are not naturally wired to think about the future. I know that sounds harsh, but it's true. We are wired for the present. We are wired to notice what hurts right now and to relax when things feel safe right now. This was incredibly useful for our ancestors. If you were a hunter-gatherer and you had enough food for today, your brain said, relax, rest, you're safe. And that made sense, because tomorrow was uncertain anyway. But here's the problem. We are living in 2025 with brains that are still running a 200,000-year-old operating system. And that ancient software has a very specific feature built into it. It's called loss aversion combined with the status quo bias. Big words, simple idea. Your brain feels the pain of losing something much more intensely than it feels the pleasure of gaining something. And your brain loves things staying the same. What this means in practical terms is, when your financial situation feels stable, when you have enough, your brain sends you a signal that says stop pushing. You're not in danger. Everything is okay. No action required. And you listen to it, because the signal feels true. But here's the twist that changes everything. Okay is not the same as secure. Not even close. Let me give you a simple example. Imagine you're standing on an escalator, but this escalator only goes down, and you're walking up it. You're working against it. As long as you keep walking, you stay in place. That feels stable. That feels okay. But the moment you stop walking, the moment you feel like you're fine, and you take a little break, the escalator quietly, consistently carries you downward. That escalator? That's inflation. That's opportunity cost. That's compound interest working against you instead of for you. Your money is not sitting still when you leave it in a savings account or let it sit in cash. It is constantly being eroded by the rising cost of everything around it. In most countries, inflation runs between 3% and 6% per year. That means money that feels safe and untouched today is quietly, invisibly shrinking in real value. But none of that feels real, because your account balance looks the same. Maybe it even looks a little higher if you saved some this month. And your brain says, see, everything's fine. This is the trap. Now, let me layer in another piece of psychology, because this is where it gets really interesting. There's a concept called hedonic adaptation. It means that human beings adapt to their circumstances incredibly quickly. Whatever we have starts to feel normal. Whatever level of income we reach starts to feel like just enough. In fact, studies have shown that when people get a raise or when their income goes up, their sense of financial satisfaction barely changes after about 3 months. Because the new income level becomes the new baseline, the new normal. The same is true in reverse. When people's income drops, they suffer for a while, but they eventually adapt to that too. What this creates is a moving treadmill of financial contentment. No matter where you are, over time, it starts to feel fine, acceptable. Okay, and this is why people who earn $30,000 a year and people who earn $150,000 a year can both look up at age 45 and realize they've barely built any wealth. Because at every income level, the feeling of "I'm fine for now" kicked in. And each time it kicked in, it quietly shut down the urgency to do something more. Let me give you a real-world version of this. Think about two people. Let's call them Marcus and Sam. Marcus earns $4,000 a month. His rent is $1,200. His expenses come to about $2,200. He has $800 left over at the end of the month. He thinks, I should invest, but I also deserve to enjoy life. I'll get more serious when I'm earning more. Sam earns $7,000 a month. His rent is $2,500. His lifestyle has crept up along with his income. Nicer car, better restaurants, a gym membership he barely uses, a streaming package for every platform. His expenses come to about $5,800. He has $1,200 left over at the end of the month. He thinks, I should invest, but things are expensive and I want to enjoy what I've worked for. I'll get serious when I pay off my car. Notice what's happening. Both Marcus and Sam have money left over. Both Marcus and Sam feel fine. And both Marcus and Sam are waiting for some future version of their life, a higher income, a clear debt, a better moment, to start building wealth. But that better moment never arrives. Because the moment their income goes up, their lifestyle adjusts. And the fine feeling returns. And the urgency disappears again. This is sometimes called lifestyle creep, but I want to go deeper than that term because lifestyle creep focuses on spending. What I'm really talking about is the psychological inertia that lives underneath the spending. The internal permission slip you give yourself to coast, because coasting feels okay. Here's the deeper insight I want you to sit with. Wealth is not built during financial emergencies. Wealth is not built when you're desperate, when your back is against the wall, when you're scared and have no choice. Wealth is built during ordinary months, the boring months, the months where nothing urgent is happening, where no alarm bells are going off, where everything feels fine. Those are the months that decide your financial future. Because those are the months where the choice is invisible, where there's no dramatic moment forcing you to act, where the habit of not building wealth is completely comfortable. Think about it this way. Compound interest is one of the most powerful forces in personal finance. Albert Einstein, whether or not the quote is perfectly accurate, reportedly called it the eighth wonder of the world. And here's why. Compound interest doesn't need you to make dramatic moves. It doesn't need you to pick the right stock or time the market perfectly. It just needs time. It just needs you to start. Let's put real numbers on this so it doesn't feel abstract. If you invest $300 a month starting at age 25, with an average annual return of 8%, which is roughly what broad index funds have historically returned over long periods, by the time you're 65, you'd have around $1 million. Now, what if you wait? What if you feel fine for 10 years and start at 35 instead? Same $300 a month. Same 8% return. By 65, you'd have around $440,000. You waited 10 years. You invested the same monthly amount. And you ended up with more than $550,000 less. Those 10 years of "I'm fine, I'll start later" cost you over $500,000. And this is the cruelest thing about the dangerous habit we're talking about today. It is expensive precisely because it is quiet. No bill arrives for it. There is no overdraft alert. There is no moment where a light flashes red and says, "Warning, you are currently losing $500,000 by doing nothing." The cost is invisible in the present. but it is catastrophic in the future. Let me add one more layer to this, because I think it explains why this habit is so persistent. We talked about how the brain loves the status quo, but there's another element here: future self-disconnection. Research by behavioral economists, including Hal Hirschfield at UCLA, found something genuinely surprising. When people look at their future self, the part of their brain that activates is the same part that activates when they think about a stranger, not themselves. A stranger. Which means when you think about yourself at 55 or 65, your brain doesn't fully register that person as you. It registers them as someone else. Someone vague. Someone far away. And it is very easy to deprioritize the needs of a stranger. This is why it's so psychologically effortless to say, "I'll deal with retirement savings later." Because later belongs to a version of you that your brain doesn't fully feel connected to. But right now, you know exactly what you want. What feels good? What feels comfortable? And that person, present you, has all the power. The result is a systematic bias toward the present, and a systematic neglect of the future. Not out of stupidity, not out of selfishness, out of a very human quirk of psychology that none of us can fully escape without deliberately designing our behavior to work around it. So what do you actually do with all of this? The answer is simpler than you might think, but it requires accepting one uncomfortable truth first. The truth is this: comfort is not the same as progress. Feeling financially okay does not mean you are financially on track. Those two things can coexist, and for millions of people, they do for decades, until one day the future arrives and the math doesn't work. So here's what you actually do. First, replace the feeling test with a number test. Stop asking yourself, "Do I feel okay about my finances?" That question will almost always return a yes, because of everything we just talked about. Your brain is optimized to make your current situation feel acceptable. Instead, ask a specific question with a specific number attached to it. If I keep doing exactly what I am doing today, same savings rate, same investing habits, same financial behaviors, where will I actually be at age 60? Not where do I hope to be? Where will I mathematically end up? You can find basic compound interest calculators online. Plug in your current monthly investment amount. Add a realistic return rate. Look at the number you get. That number will tell you the truth in a way that your feelings never will. Second, automate before you can feel comfortable. The dangerous habit thrives in the space between your paycheck arriving and you making a decision about it. Because in that space, the "I'm fine" feeling kicks in. The money looks like enough. The urgency disappears. The solution is to remove the decision entirely. Set up an automatic transfer to an index fund, to a retirement account, to an investment platform that moves money the same day your salary arrives. Before you see it, before you feel it, before your brain has a chance to say, "Things are fine, I don't need to do this right now." Pay your future self first, not as a sacrifice, not as a punishment, as a non-negotiable standing order. Third, make your future self real. This sounds almost too simple, but the research backs it up. Hal Hirschfield studies found that when people were shown age-progressed photos of themselves, their own face, aged 30 years, they made significantly more financially responsible decisions. You don't need a fancy app for this. Just sit for 5 minutes and write about who you want to be at 60, what you want your life to look like, what you want to not have to worry about. Give that future person a name if that helps. Give them a face. The goal is to close the psychological gap between you now and you then. Because when your future self feels real, protecting them feels urgent. Fourth, get suspicious of comfort. This is the mental shift that ties everything together. Start treating "I feel financially fine" as a warning sign, not a green light. Every time you catch yourself thinking, "I'll start investing properly when things settle down," or "I'll increase my contributions once I get my raise," pause. Recognize that thought for what it is. It is the good enough trap closing around you. It is the escalator starting to pull you down. You don't have to panic. You don't have to make massive, dramatic changes overnight. But you do have to take one small, concrete step right then, even a tiny one. Because the habit of responding to comfort with action, rather than inertia, is the habit that, over time, builds real wealth. Let me close with something I want you to remember long after this video ends. There's a version of you, 10 years from now, 20 years from now, who is going to look back at this exact period of your life. And they're going to see clearly with the terrifying clarity of hindsight, whether this was the time you started or the time you waited a little longer. That future version of you doesn't have the luxury of fine. They're living the results of the choices you're making right now, in ordinary months, when nothing dramatic is happening, when your account balance looks okay, when the urgency just isn't there. The most dangerous money habit no one talks about isn't reckless spending. It isn't taking bad bets. It isn't ignoring your bills. It's the quiet comfort of being okay. The invisible permission you give yourself to pause. The feeling of, I'm fine for now, that shows up every single month and costs you, silently, for decades. The good news? You know about it now. And knowledge is the one thing that breaks the spell. The escalator is running. The only question is whether you're walking up it or letting it carry you down. Asterisk, if this video opened your eyes to something, share it with someone who needs to hear it. And if you want to understand more about how your brain shapes your financial decisions, stick around. Because that's exactly what this channel is about. Asterisk.